Hey guys, we're back here at Deep South Homestead. I'm Danny. We just got through going through our last sweet potato patch on the hill over there. We planted about 1/4 of an acre. Had roughly around 600 sweet potato draws planted over there. Our thinking was if we got 1 pound per draw, at least we'd get 600 pounds of potatoes. Well guys, that didn't happen. The weather changed on us. It started raining just relentlessly for weeks on end. The grass came up in the potato patch. We tried to get it out, but it was just too much. The ground was wet. We couldn't put a tractor in there and plow it. So what happened was we ended up with the grass being about waist deep, which is about 3 foot deep or a little deeper than that. And it just took over the whole field. And we knew once that happened, we really just have to wait until the end just to see if we got anything. Well, Wanda and I just finished this morning digging. And what you see sitting right here beside me is 75 pounds of potatoes out of 1/4 of an acre. Now, there's some reasons what happened here. First was the weather. It was so rainy that up underneath that grass in the dirt, the ground never dried out. And lots of what we would dig, we would find big old potatoes, but when you would touch them, your fingers would just mush into them because they were rotten. They completely rotted. And then as I was going through the grass, now I had to take the bucket to dig these things. You couldn't do it by hand. I just take the bucket and go down one of the rows and scoop up about 4 foot a row and back up and just scatter it all over the ground and dig the potatoes out of all the grass and the dirt and stuff. And what we were finding was rats. Because the grass was so deep, the rats had moved in. Now we have some signs of some things here I want to talk about. First off, we thought we were breaking a lot of potatoes off because I was like, man, I'm doing so much damage with my bucket because we'd find pieces of potatoes. But when we got to looking like a potato like this, we thought, well, we're breaking them off. No, they've been eaten off by the rats. Even, look at this one here. We were finding them with slips growing on them. And I was like, what in the world? And I got to looking right here. The whole end of the sweet potato has been eaten off by rats and it was cut loose from the mother plant. So it done what it does naturally. It's a potato and it starts putting out slips. That's how you get slips from potatoes to plant. So we began to find that. And not only that, we find, here's another one here. This is fresh sign. This one was just eaten. And because there was so much water, you see these big old cracks in the potatoes? These are just like tomatoes or anything else. When it's been dry, and then all of a sudden it just starts raining, these potatoes started growing so fast, they started splitting, busting up all on the sides. I mean, they just look horrendous. Now, they're still good, but then we would find one like this one here. You see that? Another one. The rats has just eat the top completely out of it. The potato's still good. We'll just have to cut that part off. But that's what we begin to find. And I had some here. One like this one here. But we have what's called wood lice here. It's just an insect that's in the soil. It mainly feeds on wood products. But sweet potatoes so closely resemble a piece of wood that these lice in the ground, these little, almost like a termite, but they're not a termite, they're almost like in a family of it. They come in and they just burrow little tunnels all around through these potatoes everywhere, and they just leave you with an ugly looking potato. You know, it just looks horrendous. We'll peel out and get what we can out of these. On my last porch time was a simple fact that size really doesn't matter, neither does quantity. Now, we're not going to fret because of this because we still have our purple sweet potatoes to go, and we still have a row of white sweet potatoes to go. Now, I don't know if the purple ones are rotting. I have no way of knowing unless I just go out there and just dig one up, but we only have like 2 small beds of them, and I really don't want to ruin the fact if they're doing good because there was only just two small beds of them, and we don't want to lose them if they're still growing. I can't afford to waste a plant. I've run my fingers down the ground around them and it feels like they're okay, but between these, the purple ones and the white ones, we're hoping to get a decent harvest, but But guys, we were expecting around 600 to 700 pounds minimum this year. And what we ended up with was 300 pounds. By the time we figured what we picked out of our bottom field and now this top field, so far we're only at 300. Now if the purple ones pull out in these two beds and the white ones and they make enough to bring us up some, then that's one thing. But guys, this is why we plant as much as we do, because you have no control over the weather. You have no control over what Mother Nature does or the wildlife or anything like that. There was one point that the deer came in and eat one whole end of the field off down there. They ate all of them off before the grass and the rain actually come. We actually have video of my neighbor tilling that field for us when we were getting ready to plant sweet potatoes. You couldn't even see him on a tractor because it was so dusty. And we figured, oh my gosh, these things will never live. But we poked them in the ground and they flourished because there was enough moisture deep in the ground after we broke the ground up that they were able to get some moisture, and they started taking off, and we thought, wow, we're going to actually be able to get some good potatoes because it started raining a little bit. But then came the fire ants. The fire ants began to build beds in that field everywhere, and then the rain just kept coming and the ants just kept trying to get up out of the ground, building more beds and more beds. And then the grass took over and the ants were building all up in the grass, and there was just no way, guys. Then the rats moved into the grass, and it was just beyond our control at that point. And so we just did what we could do, like we talked about on Porch Time last week. Sometimes you just have to do what you can do. Now, we keep these small ones like this. A lot of times we used to just feed these to the animals. But this year, we'll be taking these kind right here, and we'll be washing them and cleaning them up good, and we'll be quartering them up, and that's what we'll make our fries out of to eat, sweet potato fries. Now we do have a small corner of the bucket over here. We picked up some of the little tiny roots and stuff like that, and that's going to go to the pigs because we don't waste anything. If we could see it in the field, we picked it up, threw it in the bucket, just simply because we don't feel like that it's right to just let stuff, if we know it's there, waste and be of no benefit to anything. So we tried our best to gather up everything we could just so we would benefit as much as we could from our labor. So guys, this is one of the things we wanted to bring y'all and show you, that even though I grow sweet potatoes every year and they're fantastic, the weather this year has just been horrendous here. We've got rain up to 2 and 3 weeks at a time, non-stop. All these tropical systems are coming in here. Low pressures are forming off the Gulf down here. Water just keeps getting dumped day after day after day after day. And then the relentless humidity and the heat comes in. Our heat indexes stay up in the 100 degrees most days. And it's not all it's cracked up to be to try to be a homesteader and try to raise your own food. Now Wanda and I, thank God, had canned some sweet potatoes last year, and we still have a few left over to add to these this year because, guys, by the time we can 300 pounds of sweet potatoes and keep some fresh to eat, that's going to be pushing the limit about making it to next season and having to do without sweet potatoes. Now, y'all saw some of our earlier videos with our pepper. We ran into that situation. 2 times our pepper plants died here, which we never have had that problem until this year. And we replanted, got some pepper plants up now. They are making peppers, but then the spotted tomato wilt virus hit them because of the onion thrips. So you know what Wanda and I, you saw in the video, we went to a U-picket. They had peppers there. So we went ahead and got our stock there for the whole year, and anything we can add to that from ours, it's just going to be a bonus. That's how we work here at Deep South Homestead. If we have a failure in any area, we try to either go to a farmer's market or a U-picket place or something like that where they might possibly have what we're looking for, and we load up on it, bring it home, can it, put it up, preserve it, so that we make sure we have what we need throughout the year. Because guys, look, we just don't go to the grocery store to buy groceries. The food you get in the grocery store is not fit to eat. It's not fit for human consumption because of everything that's put on it. Now, we did ask them at the U-picket place, They do not spray their vegetables while they're being picked. They do spray the fields afterwards, and we know that, but rather than do completely without, I'd rather go somewhere that I know what they're doing than to buy something from a store that come from somewhere 1,500 miles from here, and I have no clue what those people done. At least here local, it's grown locally, and I'm supporting my local agriculture. So guys, I know that it's not always roses and everything. You know, it's not always good. But sometimes on a homestead you have failures. And in our eyes, this is almost a failure, but we still have something to eat. So we're not going to look at it as a failure. We're going to look at it like God blessed us, because it could have been worse. We could have lost all of it. But because God was good to us and let us get what we need right now to get this stuff preserved, we feel like we've been blessed. So don't get discouraged when you have these problems. And guys, let me say this. In the years to come, what you're seeing right here is just going to get worse. Because they're talking about different insects are now being found in our country in different locations in our country that have never been here before. There's insects killing timber. There's beetles in places in the United States killing the timber that's never been there before. Lots of the trees are dying from the tops down. Crops are dying. Insects are just horrendous this year. The weather, there's flooding, there's drought. Lots of places in the country, they don't even know if they're going to have hay for their cattle because there's just been no season for growing anything. Lots of places in the country, the corn has just been lost. The wheat has been lost to flooding. Guys, this is only the beginning of sorrows. So when you see something like this and you have an opportunity to preserve and you have an opportunity to grow your stuff, I beg you, learn and get busy, because it's only going to get worse in the upcoming years. So guys, I know this is not an upbeat video, but it's a positive video, because we're giving God the thanks for giving us what we do have. Could have been worse. So keep a positive attitude, and thank y'all from Deep South Homestead.